Welcome to Zoe Stories. Brother surprise makeover. He didn't expect this. The sun was dipping below the horizon, casting a warm, golden glow across the small suburban neighborhood. The air smelled faintly of freshly cut grass and the lingering aroma of dinner being prepared in nearby homes. It was one of those evenings where everything seemed normal, almost mundane, but I knew better. I was Samir, 22, working part-time at a marketing agency, and living in what most people would call a perfectly ordinary life. To the outside world, I was just the quiet, responsible younger brother who always kept to myself. But behind closed doors, in the privacy of my room, my life was anything but ordinary. Because I had a secret. A big one. I loved crossdressing. Not in a casual, playful way. It was an escape, a transformation. A chance to experience a version of myself that the world didn't see. The thrill of slipping into a sleek dress, brushing on soft foundation, curling my hair until it framed my face just right. It was addictive, intoxicating. And I had learned to master it, hiding it carefully from everyone in my life, especially my family. Most evenings, I indulged in my secret with a mix of excitement and fear. The fear wasn't just about getting caught, it was the thrill that made it impossible to stop. Each time I adjusted the hem of a skirt or slipped into a pair of high heels, my heart raced in anticipation. That evening had started like any other. Isabella, my girlfriend, had texted me earlier, promising to meet her friends for a late dinner. Perfect timing, I thought. Finally, I would have some hours to myself. My room had become my sanctuary, a cozy, softly lit space with mirrors strategically placed to admire the smallest details of my transformation. On the floor lay a collection of heels, neatly arranged by color and height. Dresses of every style hung carefully in my closet, waiting for me to choose the perfect one. And tonight I had something special in mind. I wanted to experiment, push the limits, try a complete makeover, something bold that I had never dared before. The thought sent shivers down my spine. My hands itched to touch the satin fabric, to brush on lipstick, to let the wig cascade over my shoulders like a waterfall. But just as I was setting the stage for my private experiment, a sound made me freeze. The faint click of the front door. My chest tightened. Isabella wasn't supposed to be home for another hour. Panic surged through me, but I quickly reasoned. It could just be my brother. My older brother, Ayan, was the one person I never wanted to see me like this. Ayan was everything I wasn't. Confident, outspoken, a natural leader with sharp instincts. He could walk into a room and immediately know when something was off. And I knew, deep down, that if he walked in and saw me mid-transformation, there would be no hiding it. I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing thoughts. My hands trembled as I picked up a soft, powdery foundation brush. I had done this countless times before, but tonight felt different. Tonight, it wasn't just about the makeup or the dress. It was about testing my boundaries. Could I fully become the version of me I had hidden for so long, without anyone discovering it? As I began smoothing foundation over my face, I felt a strange mix of vulnerability and excitement. Vulnerability because I was alone, yet aware that anyone could walk in at any moment. Excitement because every stroke of the brush, every adjustment of the wig, made me feel more alive, more myself. I glanced at my reflection in the mirror. The person staring back at me wasn't entirely me, or perhaps it was a truer version than anyone had ever seen. My eyes looked larger, more expressive. My lips fuller, painted a soft rose shade. And the wig, carefully styled, framed my face in a way that made me almost unrecognizable. I had almost lost myself in the reflection when a sudden knock on my bedroom door jolted me upright. My heart leapt into my throat. "Ayan," I called, my voice shaky, trying to sound casual. There was no response. Just another knock. Louder this time. Panic coursed through me like electricity. I wasn't ready. Not for him. Not for anyone. I glanced around the room, mind racing. The heels. The dress. The wig. The brush. Everything screamed exposure. My sanctuary had transformed into a trap, a potential stage for disaster. And then, As if drawn by some irresistible force, I heard a familiar voice, teasing and playful, coming from the doorway.
Wow.
Samir, I didn't know you could look like this. My stomach dropped. The voice was unmistakable. Ayan had seen me, or at least glimpsed the beginnings of my transformation. I froze, cheeks burning, heart hammering in my chest. Every instinct screamed to hide, to retreat, to erase the moment. But the truth was out, or at least partially. And the look in his eyes, I couldn't read it yet. Was it judgment? Curiosity? Amusement?
Shock.
All I knew was that my life had just shifted. The safe world I had built around my secret was gone. And now, the real challenge began, navigating my brother's unexpected reaction while exploring the version of myself I had always wanted to show. As he stepped closer, eyes scanning the scattered heels and dresses, a thrill ran through me, a mix of fear, embarrassment, and excitement. The night I had imagined, alone and private, was gone. But in its place was something far more intense, the unpredictable, heart-pounding possibility that my secret could no longer be contained. And so, the evening that started as an ordinary night transformed into the first chapter of an unforgettable journey. One that would test my courage, my identity, and my relationship with everyone around me, especially Ayan. Little did I know, the surprise makeover I had planned would end up being the surprise that changed everything. The room was quiet now, except for the soft hum of the ceiling fan. My heart still raced from Ayan's unexpected appearance in the doorway, and I could feel my palms growing clammy as I clutched the wig tighter. He hadn't said anything since that first teasing comment, but the weight of his gaze made me hyper-aware of every movement, every detail. I took a slow breath, forcing myself to calm down. It's just him noticing. That's all. He hasn't said anything mean yet. But even as I repeated the words in my mind, a tremor of anxiety ran through me. I had always been careful, always hidden my secret behind closed doors, late nights, and quiet moments. And now, one glimpse from my older brother threatened to unravel all of it. I had to act. I couldn't let panic take over. Slowly, deliberately, I placed the wig on my head, adjusting it until it fell naturally around my shoulders. The soft waves framed my face in a way that almost transformed me entirely. I caught my reflection in the mirror across the room. Samir was there, yes, but there was someone else, too, a version of me I had only dared to explore in secret. My excitement flickered like a candle in the wind. Part of me wanted to retreat, to shove the wig into the closet and pretend nothing had happened. But another part, the braver, more reckless part, urged me forward. Let him see. Let him know. Let him witness it. Ayan stepped closer, still quiet, his eyes darting to the heels scattered across the floor. You really have all of this? He asked, voice softer now, tinged with curiosity rather than judgment. I swallowed hard. Yeah. I like experimenting, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. It's part of who I am. His eyes widened slightly, but he didn't mock or laugh. Instead, there was something else there, a mixture of fascination and disbelief. My pulse quickened. I wasn't sure whether to feel relieved or terrified. Fascinating, he said finally, a small smirk tugging at his lips. I never expected you like this. And just like that, a spark of boldness ignited inside me. If he was curious rather than judgmental, maybe this could be fun. Maybe I could show him more, test the limits, and finally embrace the side of myself that I had kept hidden for so long. I set the brush down and walked over to my closet. Pulling out a vibrant, silky dress, I let it glide through my hands, feeling the smooth fabric against my skin. High heels, delicate yet daring, glimmered under the soft light. Each piece called to me, whispering promises of transformation, of stepping fully into this hidden persona. Do you want to see it? I asked, voice trembling slightly with anticipation. Ayan tilted his head, his smirk growing. I'm curious. Show me. My stomach flipped. I had imagined this moment countless times in private, but now it was real. I slipped into the dress, the silky fabric hugging my frame in ways that made me feel both powerful and vulnerable. I fastened the back carefully, every click of the zipper echoing in my mind. The heels went on next, elevating me, changing the way I carried myself. Each step toward the mirror was deliberate, cautious, but also thrilling. I adjusted the wig, brushed my hair back, and applied a final stroke of soft lipstick. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized the person staring back. It was still me, but it was also someone more confident, more daring, someone who had hidden in the shadows for far too long. Ayan was silent, watching every movement, his expression unreadable. I held my breath, waiting for laughter, teasing, or rejection. But none came. Instead, he nodded slowly. "You look different," he said, a hint of admiration in his voice. "But not in a bad way. You pull it off." Relief and excitement surged through me. My heart felt like it would burst. He approves. He actually approves. For the first time, I felt a thrill that was different from the solitary joy of secret crossdressing. It was validation, recognition, and connection. We spent the next few minutes in a delicate dance of words and gestures, him asking questions, me answering cautiously, sharing pieces of my hidden life. He wanted to know why, when, and how I started exploring this side of myself. And I, for the first time, felt seen without fear of immediate judgment. But the excitement was tinged with anxiety. Each knock on the door, each sound from the hallway, reminded me that this exposure was fragile. Isabella could walk in at any moment. Mom could return unexpectedly. Any interruption could shatter this carefully balanced moment. And that's when I realized the night was far from over. This was only the beginning. I had stepped into the world I had hidden from everyone, and now the real challenge awaited: navigating my relationship with my brother, managing my secret identity, and confronting the possibility that I might no longer be able to retreat into the shadows. The transformation wasn't just physical. It was emotional, psychological. I felt a wave of vulnerability mixed with exhilaration. For the first time, I wasn't hiding entirely. I was stepping into a new reality, one that could change everything. And as Ayan looked at me, eyes wide with curiosity and a faint spark of amusement, I knew the evening would be unforgettable. The thrill of my transformation lingered like electricity in the air. My heels clicked softly on the hardwood floor as I moved toward the mirror, each step a mix of excitement and apprehension. Ayan followed cautiously, his eyes scanning the room, noting every detail: the scattered dresses, the neatly lined heels, the makeup brushes lying like tools of a secret ritual. "I have to admit," he said slowly, smirking now with a mix of disbelief and intrigue, "I didn't think you had this side of you." I forced a nervous laugh. Most people don't. I've always kept it private. But tonight, I wanted to try something different. He leaned against the doorframe, folding his arms. "Different, huh? You're not kidding." His gaze lingered on the mirror, then shifted to me. "Do you always do this when you're alone?" I hesitated, unsure how much to reveal. The truth was deeper than just a hobby or an experiment. Crossdressing wasn't a casual pastime. It was a part of my identity, a private escape into the self I rarely let the world see. Sometimes, I admitted, it's how I feel complete, how I feel like myself. The words hung in the room. Ayan's expression softened slightly, but I could see the curiosity and the unspoken questions behind his eyes. He didn't fully understand yet, and part of me feared he never would. I moved to adjust my wig in the mirror, the soft curls brushing my shoulders, and felt a strange mixture of vulnerability and empowerment. The transformation wasn't just physical. It was emotional. Every brushstroke, every adjustment of clothing made me feel more alive, more visible, more real. Ayan tilted his head, studying me intently. "So, this is who you are when no one's looking?" he asked, voice low. I nodded, biting my lip. "Yes, and no one was supposed to see it tonight. Not even you." He chuckled softly, leaning closer. "Well, consider me surprised. And impressed, honestly." I felt my cheeks heat. Compliments from Ayan were rare. He was not the kind of person to casually give praise. Yet his words made the adrenaline spike higher, the thrill of exposure mingling with excitement. "Do you want me to show you more?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. The idea of sharing this hidden part of myself was both terrifying and exhilarating. Ion's smirk deepened. "I'm curious. But I warn you, I have a good memory for surprises." That made me laugh softly, tension easing slightly. I turned back to the mirror and carefully selected a second outfit, a form-fitting dress in deep navy that contrasted beautifully with my pale skin. I slipped into it, feeling the silky fabric hug every curve, the sensation both thrilling and nerve-wracking. "Wow," Ion breathed, leaning back against the doorframe. I didn't know this could look like this. You really pull it off." The validation sent a surge of confidence through me, but I reminded myself that danger still lingered. Isabella could walk in at any moment. Mom could call unexpectedly. One wrong sound, one knock at the door, and the fragile bubble of this private reveal could burst. I adjusted the wig again, brushing it into place, and added a final touch of lipstick, soft but bold. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't just see Samir. I saw someone bold, someone daring, someone finally embracing their hidden identity. "All right," Ion said suddenly, breaking the reverie. "You've got the look down. But now, can you walk in those heels without falling?" My stomach flipped. Walking gracefully in heels was always a challenge, and now, with him watching, the stakes felt higher. I took a careful step forward, the heel clicking against the hardwood. Then another, and another. Each movement measured, cautious, but growing more confident with every step. Ion watched silently, a faint grin tugging at his lips. "Not bad," he admitted. "Better than I expected." For the first time, I felt a strange bond forming, an unspoken understanding that this secret side of me wasn't just mine anymore. I had shared it with someone I trusted, someone who, surprisingly, didn't react with ridicule. But just as relief started to settle in, a sudden sound shattered the moment, a knock on the front door. My heart jumped. "Isabella? Mom? Someone else?" Panic surged through me. Ion's eyes flicked toward the sound, sharp and alert. I have to check," I whispered, my voice trembling. The heels clicked faster as I moved toward the door, every step a reminder of how exposed I was. I peeked through the peephole. My stomach dropped. It wasn't Isabella. It wasn't Mom. It was someone I hadn't expected, my neighbor, Mrs. Farah, holding a plate of cookies and a bright, cheerful smile. I froze. Exposure wasn't just emotional anymore. It was imminent. The dress, the heels, the makeup, it was all on display if the door opened fully. Ion leaned closer, whispering, "You've got to handle this carefully." I nodded, heart pounding, forcing a smile as I opened the door slightly. "Hi, Mrs. Farah, what a surprise." She beamed, oblivious to the tension. "I thought I'd bring some cookies over. Thought you'd like a little treat." I took the plate, hands trembling. "That's very kind of you. Thank you." The encounter, brief as it was, reminded me that my secret world was fragile. One misstep, one visitor, one unexpected interruption could shatter it completely. And yet, the thrill, the undeniable excitement of walking this line between exposure and concealment, kept my heart racing. As Mrs. Farah waved and left, Ion chuckled softly.
"See?
You survived. And you looked amazing." I exhaled slowly, sinking into a mixture of relief and adrenaline. The first part of the night was over, but the true challenge, the full, daring, heart-pounding journey, was just beginning. The apartment had settled into a deceptive calm after Mrs. Farah left. But the calm was an illusion. My heart still raced, adrenaline coursing through my veins as I adjusted the wig one last time. Ion sat on the edge of the couch, arms crossed, watching me with that curious, teasing look that made my stomach flip. "You're really going all out tonight, huh?" he said, smirking. "Not just a little experiment. You're full-on transformation mode." I nodded, biting my lip nervously. "Yeah, I thought, maybe, I'd try something bolder tonight. Something I've never dared to do before." He leaned back, watching me intently.
Bold is one thing.
Reckless is another. Are you ready for this? I didn't answer immediately. The truth was, I wasn't sure. Every nerve in my body screamed excitement, yet fear clung to my every thought. If Isabella returned early, if Mom called, if anyone walked in, my secret would be exposed, and there would be no turning back. But a part of me craved it. The risk, the thrill, the undeniable rush that came from stepping fully into this hidden self. I took a deep breath and stepped toward the mirror, heels clicking softly against the floor. The reflection staring back at me was mesmerizing. The dress hugged my body perfectly. The soft curls of the wig framed my face, and the makeup highlighted features I had always been self-conscious about. For the first time, I felt completely transformed, not just in appearance, but in essence. Ayon's voice cut through my thoughts. You know, you could go out like this and probably turn heads. I froze mid-step, cheeks flushing. Out? Here? He chuckled. Why not? You look confident, and you pull it off. Don't you want to see how the world reacts? The suggestion sent a thrill through me and a jolt of panic at the same time. Going out like this? My secret, my identity, fully exposed in the outside world? It was both terrifying and exhilarating. I don't know, I whispered, my voice trembling. It's risky. Ayon grinned, leaning forward. Sometimes, the biggest risks lead to the best stories. And tonight this could be one hell of a story. I shivered, not entirely from fear. There was a strange mix of excitement building inside me. He was right. The risk was high, but the potential thrill irresistible. I took another step toward the mirror, adjusting the dress again. The silky fabric felt cool against my skin, the heels giving me an unfamiliar elegance. I caught sight of my reflection and realized the person staring back wasn't just Samir. It was someone new, daring, someone I had been hiding from the world for too long. Then, the sound of the doorbell shattered the fragile peace. My heart lurched violently. Isabella? Mom? Who now? I exchanged a tense glance with Ayon. He smirked knowingly. Handle this, he whispered. I tiptoed to the peephole, hands trembling. My stomach dropped. It wasn't Isabella, but my neighbor's teenage daughter, Mira, holding a small package. My pulse skyrocketed. She mustn't see me like this. I opened the door just a crack. Hi, Mira. What's up? She grinned. Package for Ayon. Thought he'd want it now. I forced a smile, glancing at Ayon for guidance. He simply nodded, watching with interest. Tell her he'll grab it in a minute, I said, trying to sound casual. She waved cheerfully and left, and I closed the door with a soft sigh of relief. The adrenaline still hummed in my chest. This night was turning into a gauntlet of unexpected encounters, each testing my nerves and the strength of my secret. I returned to the mirror, taking a moment to collect myself. Ayon stood nearby, arms folded, eyes never leaving me. You know, he said quietly, this isn't just about the outfit or the makeup. I can see it's about who you want to be, not just what you wear. The words struck me deeply. He understood. Or, at least, he was trying to. And that understanding, half surprise, half validation, made my vulnerability feel less daunting. Yeah, I admitted softly. It's more than just clothes.
It's me.
He smiled. I get that. And you pull it off. Honestly, I'm impressed. The praise was intoxicating. I felt a rush of confidence, the thrill of exposure mingling with the comfort of his acceptance. For a moment, the risks faded, replaced by a surge of courage. And that's when the phone rang. My stomach dropped. Isabella. She was supposed to be out for the evening, but her unexpected call could ruin everything. I froze, hearing her voice on the line. Hey, Samir. I might be home earlier than expected. Just a heads up, she said cheerfully. I cursed silently under my breath. Earlier? Now? Ayon leaned over, whispering, Looks like your next challenge just arrived. My heart pounded. The private thrill of my transformation was about to collide with the real world. The suspense, the excitement, and the fear all swirled together, leaving me on the edge. One wrong move, one careless step, and my secret, my identity, could be exposed in ways I wasn't ready to face. But even as panic threatened to take over, a part of me, braver, bolder, felt alive like never before. Tonight was no longer just about a makeover. It was about testing boundaries, embracing risk, and stepping fully into the person I had always hidden. I took a deep breath, adjusted my heels, and glanced at Ayan, whose smirk seemed to dare me forward. The night was far from over, and the real test of courage had just begun. The sun had begun to dip low, painting the sky in streaks of orange and pink as I nervously adjusted the hem of the dress. I had never dared to cross-dress outside my safe little room before, but tonight, Ayan had convinced me that the thrill was worth the risk. We were standing in the quiet corner of a small, upscale outdoor cafe tucked behind a bustling street. The gentle hum of traffic and the distant chatter of people created a surreal backdrop. Patrons passed by, completely unaware that I was standing there in a bold, fitted dress, soft curls bouncing from my wig, and heels clicking sharply against the cobblestone walkway. "You look incredible," Ayan whispered, a mischievous glint in his eyes. "I can't believe I convinced you to do this, but wow, you actually pulled it off." My heart raced. Every pair of eyes that wandered past felt like an invisible spotlight, and every step I took was a gamble. The dress clung perfectly, the makeup highlighted my features just enough, and my wig framed my face like a cascade of silk. For the first time, the reflection in the polished glass window of the cafe felt like it belonged to the real me, not the hidden me, the secret Samir. "Just keep calm," Ayan whispered. "Act normal. You're not just Samir in a dress. You're someone confident. Walk like you own this space." I nodded, forcing my shoulders back and taking a careful step onto the main pathway. My heels clicked against the stones, a rhythm that felt both terrifying and intoxicating. A family with kids walked by. A man stopped to check his phone. A barista called out to a colleague across the street. And yet, no one seemed to notice. Or maybe they did, but they weren't judging. The adrenaline surged as we moved to the edge of the cafe, the streetlights beginning to flicker on. A small crowd gathered near a nearby fountain, chatting and laughing. The thrill of being seen, of being exposed to this tiny slice of the world, sent shivers down my spine. "You're doing amazing," Ayan said, his tone almost fatherly now, though that mischievous spark never left his eyes. "Look around. People don't care. They're too busy living their own lives. But you're standing out, and it looks incredible." I laughed softly, trying to calm my nerves. It feels surreal. Like I shouldn't be here. Like I'm doing something wrong, but at the same time, it feels so right. He grinned.
Exactly.
"That's the thrill of it. That's why you do this, isn't it? For the feeling you can't get anywhere else." A sudden shout from across the street made me jump. A cyclist had nearly collided with a pedestrian, sending a flurry of surprised voices echoing down the sidewalk. I steadied myself against a railing, heels digging into the ground, heart pounding. The world felt alive in a way I had never experienced before, chaotic, unpredictable, dangerous, and yet, I was part of it now. Ayan nudged me gently. "Come on, let's walk a little. Test those heels in real life. Show the world who you are, even if it's just for tonight." I hesitated. Every instinct screamed caution, but excitement surged stronger. This wasn't just an experiment anymore, it was a statement, a defiance of fear. I took a deep breath and stepped off the edge of the cafe into the pathway, moving slowly, deliberately, letting the sway of the dress guide me.
People passed by.
Some glanced, some smiled politely, some didn't notice at all. The thrill of being seen, even partially, without consequence, was intoxicating. I felt more alive than I had ever felt, my secret no longer confined to shadows. Then, a familiar laugh pierced through the ambient noise. A friend from work, entirely unexpected, walking toward the cafe. My chest froze. Exposure was imminent. My face flushed, and I felt Ayan's hand on my shoulder, grounding me. "Relax," he whispered. "Smile. You're confident. You own this." The friend stopped briefly, squinting at me. I forced a calm smile, nodding politely. A beat passed, And then, as if the world approved, they walked past, barely giving me a second glance. Relief washed over me, but my heart continued to race. I realized in that moment that the thrill wasn't just about hiding or being secretive. It was about the courage to step into a space where no one expected me, to take up space as myself, fully visible, fully daring. The risk had made it electrifying, and surviving it had made me feel unstoppable. Ion laughed softly.
See?
You can do it. And this is just the beginning. Imagine what else you could conquer. And in that brief, sunlit corner of the bustling street, I understood something fundamental. My transformation wasn't just about clothes or makeup. It was about stepping into a world where I could be seen and daring to stay visible. The evening air had turned crisp, carrying the distant sounds of traffic and laughter from the nearby street. The soft glow of streetlights reflected off the polished cobblestones as I adjusted my heels, feeling every step like a delicate act of balance between fear and exhilaration. Ion followed closely, his presence a mix of reassurance and mischief, silently daring me to push further. "This is it," he whispered, gesturing toward the small open plaza ahead. A cluster of people had gathered around a street performer, their faces lit by the flickering lights of a nearby fountain. "Time to see how far you can take this. Confidence, poise, and don't flinch." My heart pounded. The plaza was crowded, and I was fully exposed now, my silky dress, soft curls, and subtle makeup making me stand out among the casually dressed crowd. For a moment, panic gripped me. Each passerby could be a threat, a judgmental eye waiting to expose me. Yet, beneath that fear, a surge of excitement pulsed through my veins. I straightened my shoulders, lifted my chin, and took a step forward, letting the dress sway gracefully. The heels clicked against the stone pathway with precision, drawing subtle glances from people nearby. Some looked curious, some polite, and a few didn't notice at all. "You're doing amazing," Ion murmured, his voice barely audible over the hum of the crowd. "Keep going. Walk like you own this space. Like you belong here." I nodded, forcing my nerves to calm, feeling a strange sense of liberation. Each confident step I took erased the fear bit by bit. For the first time, I wasn't hiding in the shadows. I was visible, daring, fully alive in the public eye. Then, just as my courage surged, the unexpected happened. A familiar voice called out from behind me. "Samir? Is that you?" I froze. My stomach dropped. I turned slowly, my worst fear materializing. It was Isabella, standing across the plaza, with a small group of friends. My face flushed instantly, a mixture of fear, embarrassment, and excitement flooding my senses. How much had she seen already? How would she react? Ion's hand tightened gently on my shoulder. "Stay calm," he whispered. "Just keep walking, act natural." I took a shaky step forward, forcing a smile as I tried to appear casual. The world seemed to blur around me. The sound of laughter, the ripple of the fountain, the occasional clink of glasses from a nearby cafe. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might betray me. Isabella's eyes widened as she took in my appearance. I caught the moment she recognized the dress, the heels, the carefully styled hair. The shock on her face mirrored my own internal panic. What are you wearing?" she asked, her voice a mixture of disbelief and incredulity. I swallowed hard, trying to muster courage. "It's me. I mean, it's part of me," I said, my voice trembling slightly but firm. "Something I've kept private. Something I wanted to explore tonight." Her friends stared in confusion, whispering among themselves. The plaza suddenly felt both immense and claustrophobic, every eye on me, every step amplified. Ion stepped slightly forward, his grin both teasing and protective. "She's been experimenting," he said lightly, giving me a nod. "And she's amazing at it." Isabella blinked, processing the information. Her shock softened into curiosity, then, unexpectedly, into a faint smile. I didn't know." "You look incredible," she admitted, her voice catching slightly. Relief and exhilaration surged through me, but the moment wasn't over. The plaza suddenly erupted with laughter and applause from the crowd. The street performer had done something spectacular. The noise masked some of the tension, but my heart was still racing. One misstep, one stumble in these heels, one misplaced movement, and all eyes would fixate on me in a way I wasn't fully ready to handle. I adjusted the wig, brushed a curl behind my ear, and focused on taking measured steps. The thrill of public exposure was intoxicating, each glance, each passing comment from strangers adding to the adrenaline. I was both terrified and alive, caught between fear and exhilaration in a way I had never experienced before. "You're handling this beautifully," Ayan whispered. "Look at yourself, confident, bold, unafraid. Nobody can touch you tonight." I laughed softly, a mixture of relief and pride, letting the sensation of freedom wash over me. For the first time, I realized that the risk wasn't just worth it, it was transformative. Every step, every glance, every subtle acknowledgement of my identity was a victory. But just as I began to relax, a sudden shout rang out. Someone in the crowd had recognized me from work. Panic surged instantly. Exposure was real now. I couldn't hide this.
Couldn't control it.
My body froze, the heels suddenly feeling impossibly high, the plaza spinning slightly as fear and excitement collided. Ayan grabbed my hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze.
"Breathe. We can handle this."
"Stay with me." And in that moment, I realized something crucial. This wasn't just about crossdressing or being seen. It was about daring to live fully, embracing vulnerability, and confronting fear head-on. Even as my secret teetered on the edge of discovery, the adrenaline and exhilaration surged, leaving me exhilarated, terrified, and alive in a way I had never felt before. Tonight had changed everything, and there was no turning back. The plaza lights glimmered against the evening sky, casting long, dramatic shadows across the cobblestones. My heels clicked sharply as I tried to keep pace with Ayan, weaving through the crowd with as much poise as I could muster. My chest pounded, not just from fear, but from the pure, electrifying thrill of being fully exposed in public. Every passerby's glance, every whisper, felt amplified, like the world was suddenly focused entirely on me. Then the worst happened. A voice I never wanted to hear tonight cut through the crowd like a knife. "Samir? Is that really you?" My heart skipped a beat. I froze, heels digging into the stone. It was Raj, my colleague from work, someone who I had never, ever wanted to see me like this. His eyes widened in disbelief, scanning the dress, the wig, the perfectly applied makeup, and finally settling on my face. "Oh, wow," he stammered, clearly shocked. I didn't expect." I forced a tight smile, praying my composure would hold. "Raj, hi. Yeah, it's me. Just trying something new tonight." Ayan's hand squeezed mine, grounding me, reminding me that I wasn't alone in this. He whispered, "Stay calm. You've got this." I nodded, even as panic threatened to overwhelm me. Every instinct screamed to run, to hide, but I couldn't.
Not now.
Not after the courage it had taken to be seen, even partially. Raj's brow furrowed. I didn't know. I mean, this is new." "Yes," I admitted, my voice slightly trembling but firm. "It's me exploring a side I've never shown anyone. It's important to me." A tense silence fell over the plaza. Crowds of people continued to pass by, oblivious to the drama unfolding in the corner. But to me, every eye felt like it could pierce straight through my carefully constructed persona. Raj took a cautious step closer, curiosity mixing with surprise. "So, you're serious about this? You actually dress like this?" "Yes," I said softly, my voice gaining strength. "I've kept it private for a long time, but tonight, I wanted to face it fully, in public, with people around." His surprise softened into fascination. "Wow, you actually look amazing. Seriously, I wouldn't have expected it, but you really pull it off." Ayan smirked beside me, clearly proud.
"Told you."
Confidence, poise, she's unstoppable tonight. I felt a surge of pride and exhilaration, but then another obstacle appeared. Across the plaza, A group of Isabella's friends had spotted me. Whispers traveled through the crowd, and I could see their curious, confused faces turning toward me. My stomach lurched. Exposure wasn't just a risk anymore, it was imminent. The adrenaline surged higher, almost painful in its intensity. Each step in these heels felt like a tightrope walk, balancing between fear and thrill, vulnerability and empowerment. Then Isabella herself appeared, weaving through the crowd. Her eyes locked onto mine immediately, and my chest tightened. She approached slowly, a mix of concern, curiosity, and, surprisingly, admiration in her expression. This is incredible," she said softly, almost breathless. I had no idea. I didn't expect. I swallowed, trying to steady my voice. I know. I didn't plan for anyone to see me tonight. But this is me. And I wanted to show it, even just a little. Her gaze softened, and for a brief moment, the tension eased. But the plaza remained alive with potential exposure. A street vendor called out, someone tripped nearby, a dog barked, and every sound felt amplified, threatening to draw attention to my transformation. I felt a bead of sweat roll down my temple. The thrill was overwhelming. My heart raced, my palms were sweaty, and my legs shook slightly from both excitement and fear. Yet in that chaos, I realized something. I had survived. I had faced public scrutiny, accidental discovery, and the fear of judgment, and I was still standing, still poised, still daring to be myself. Ayan leaned close. This is the moment, remember? It's not just about surviving exposure. It's about embracing it. Show them you're unafraid. I straightened my shoulders, lifted my chin, and took a step forward. The heels clicked confidently against the cobblestones. I felt eyes following me, whispers surrounding me, but none of it mattered. I was fully visible, fully exposed, fully alive. But then, just as I started to breathe a little easier, Raj's phone rang loudly, breaking the fragile calm. He glanced at it, and in that instant, a notification on the screen displayed my social media profile, linking me directly to my crossdressing identity. Panic surged like wildfire. Everyone could see now. My secret exposed. Ayan grabbed my hand, eyes wide. Run if you need to, but don't fall. Just stay with me. I nodded, my legs trembling with a mix of fear and adrenaline. The crowd was a blur, the plaza spinning, and my heart raced like never before. This was it, the culmination of risk, thrill, and vulnerability. Every step, every glance, every whisper had led to this moment. And in the chaos of near exposure, I realized something profound. This wasn't just about crossdressing anymore. It was about daring to be fully, unapologetically myself, even when the world might judge, stare, or misunderstand. The night had become a crucible, testing my courage, my identity, and my ability to face fear head-on. And there, in the heart of the bustling plaza, I understood that no matter what happened next, I had already changed. The plaza felt like a stage now, every movement exaggerated, every glance amplified. My heels clicked against the cobblestones as I tried to maintain composure, but inside, my chest was hammering. Raj's phone had just revealed my secret, my social media profile linking me directly to my crossdressing identity, and the threat of exposure had never felt more real. Stay calm, Ayan whispered, gripping my hand tightly. We move carefully, one step at a time. I nodded, swallowing hard. The crowd around us had begun to notice something, some curious whispers, sideways glances. My heart pounded. Every passerby felt like they could unravel the fragile facade I had so carefully built tonight. Suddenly, from across the plaza, a small group of teenagers began pointing and laughing, clearly recognizing me from a viral video my friend had jokingly posted months ago. My face burned hot with embarrassment. The risk had escalated exponentially. I was no longer just confronting my own fears. The world could now see me, judge me, and I had no control. Ignore them, Ayan urged. They don't matter. You've survived worse. I took a shaky breath, focusing on the heels beneath my feet. The sway of the dress, the softness of the wig, the subtle curve of the makeup. It all reminded me that I was more than just fear. I was daring, bold, and alive. But just as I steadied myself, Isabella's voice rang out behind me. "Samir, wait." I turned, and her eyes locked onto mine, scanning every detail of my transformation. There was shock, concern, and unexpectedly, pride. "You're amazing," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I didn't know. I had no idea you could be this confident." Before I could respond, the group of teenagers pushed closer, snapping pictures with their phones. Panic surged through me. This is it. Everyone will see. My secret exposed to the world. Ion stepped in front, shielding me slightly. "Give them space," he said firmly, his tone protective.
She's not a joke.
"Back off." The teens laughed nervously but stepped back, and for a moment, relief washed over me. But the danger wasn't gone. The social media alert, the glances from strangers, Isabella's friends watching, all of it created a pressure cooker of tension that threatened to burst. I stumbled slightly in my heels, and Ion caught me instantly. "Careful," he said, concern flashing in his eyes. "One wrong move." I nodded, taking another deep breath, trying to steady the adrenaline that surged through my body. The plaza seemed endless, every step echoing in my mind like a countdown to disaster or triumph. Then came the unthinkable. A loud shout from behind.
Hey.
"Aren't you Samir?" From work. My blood ran cold. A man I recognized as a senior colleague, walking toward me with a group of friends, his eyes wide with recognition. The social media link had apparently spread faster than I anticipated. Panic and exhilaration collided inside me.
There's no escape now.
Ion grabbed my hand again, his grip grounding me. "We handle this. Stay with me. Walk tall. Don't run, not yet." I forced my shoulders back, lifted my chin, and took deliberate steps toward the fountain, my reflection in the water shimmering with each movement. Each click of my heels sounded like a heartbeat, loud and defiant. My colleague stopped, staring, a mix of disbelief and admiration on his face. "Wow, you look incredible. I didn't expect this." I exhaled slightly, the tension easing a fraction, but then my phone buzzed violently in my pocket. Another notification, another potential exposure. My chest tightened. Every instinct screamed to flee, yet I stayed rooted, determined to face the fear head-on. Isabella stepped closer, her hand brushing lightly against mine. "You're doing so well," she whispered. I'm proud of you. Just stay calm." I nodded, letting her words steady me. The plaza was a whirlwind of sound, movement, and curiosity, but I felt a strange clarity. Tonight wasn't about hiding or fear. It was about daring to be seen, daring to be myself, and daring to survive the chaos of exposure. And just as I began to feel a tentative sense of control, a sudden crash echoed through the plaza. A cyclist had collided with a street vendor's cart, sending fruits and merchandise flying. People screamed and scattered, and I stumbled, nearly falling in my heels. Ion lunged, catching me before I hit the ground. The plaza erupted into chaos. Laughter, shouts, and frantic movement filled the space. My heart raced, every nerve on edge, and I realized the night had reached its peak. The thrill, the fear, the exposure, all collided into a single, intense moment. And there, in the midst of the chaos, I understood. This night had changed everything. No longer just a secret in my room, no longer just a hidden side of me. I had faced the world, dared to be seen, and survived. But the final obstacle still loomed. What would everyone think? How would Isabella truly respond? And what would happen when the viral notifications began spreading beyond this plaza? My knees shook slightly, but a grin spread across my face. Fear and exhilaration mingled, and I felt alive like never before. The night wasn't over yet, and the ultimate revelation, the true test of courage, was still to come. The chaos in the plaza had settled slightly, though the air was still electric with tension. People whispered, glanced, and occasionally pointed their phones in our direction, capturing fleeting moments of my crossdressing transformation. My legs ached from the heels, my heart pounded from the adrenaline, but I refused to let fear dictate my actions. I had survived every challenge so far. Why stop now? Ion stood close, his protective hand brushing mine, grounding me in the madness around us. "You've done more than most people could ever imagine," he said, his voice steady. "You've faced the fear, taken the risk, and come out shining. But the night isn't over yet." I swallowed hard, trying to focus through the blur of faces and flashing phone screens. Isabella's gaze remained fixed on me, a mixture of awe, curiosity, and concern flickering across her expression. My chest tightened. What would she think if this went further, if the exposure extended beyond just a few onlookers? And then it happened. My phone vibrated violently in my pocket, a new notification demanding attention. The screen lit up, showing that someone had live-streamed part of my transformation. The viewer count was climbing by the second. Panic surged. Everyone could see. Everyone could judge. My secret life was out there, spreading fast. "Samir, it's okay," Ion whispered. "We can handle this. But you need to make a choice. Do you run or do you own it?" The plaza suddenly felt smaller, the crowd more intense, and my mind raced. My heart hammered with a mixture of terror and exhilaration. This is it, the moment everything changes. The moment I prove who I am, or risk losing it all. I took a deep breath, adjusting the wig and smoothing the dress against my body. The heels felt impossibly high, but they were a reminder of how far I had come. Every click against the cobblestones felt like a heartbeat, a defiance, a declaration. Isabella stepped forward, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear. "You're amazing," she whispered. "No matter what happens, I see you. And that's what matters." Her words grounded me for a brief moment, but reality crashed back instantly. Across the plaza, a man I recognized from my workplace was now staring directly at me, phone in hand, ready to share the live stream. My stomach churned. Every secret, every fear, every hidden part of myself hung in the balance. Ion grabbed my hand firmly. "Whatever happens next, you face it with me. We're in this together." I nodded, trying to steady my trembling legs. The plaza seemed to blur, every movement slowed, and yet the world was moving faster than I could process. I realized in that instant that the thrill of being seen, the adrenaline of exposure, was addictive. I could feel it coursing through my veins, a combination of fear, excitement, and liberation. Then came the moment that would define the night. A passerby accidentally brushed against me, causing the wig to slip slightly. My heart stopped. For a fraction of a second, my carefully constructed identity trembled. But I caught it, adjusted it, and stood taller, letting the incident fuel my resolve. I wouldn't hide. Not anymore. Ion's eyes met mine, filled with pride and mischief.
"See?
"You're unstoppable." Just then, a notification pinged again, louder this time. My live stream had gone viral. The viewer count had exploded. Hundreds, thousands were watching. The plaza seemed to close in around me. Every whispered comment, every curious glance from strangers felt magnified. I was fully exposed, and yet exhilaratingly alive. I glanced at Isabella. Her eyes softened, a silent promise in their depths. "No matter what happens, I'm here," she said quietly. I drew in a shaky breath, my heels digging into the cobblestones. The world could see me now, all of me, unapologetically. My secret, my identity, my daring transformation. It was out there, teetering between judgment and admiration. And just as I began to feel a flicker of hope, the sound of approaching footsteps echoed from behind. Heavy, determined, and unmistakably close. I turned slowly, dread pooling in my stomach. A shadow loomed, tall, imposing, and familiar. Someone who could unravel everything I had risked tonight. Someone who shouldn't have been here. My heart slammed against my ribs. Ion tightened his grip on my hand. Isabella froze beside me, her eyes wide. And in that instant, everything went silent, except for the pounding of my own heartbeat. The world held its breath. And so did I. The shadow that loomed over me felt impossibly heavy, every heartbeat thundering in my chest. I barely dared to breathe as the figure stepped closer, the cobblestones echoing beneath their shoes. My mind raced. Was this someone from work? A stranger? Or worse, someone who could expose me to the entire city? Isabella tightened her grip on my hand, whispering, "Stay calm, whatever happens, we handle this together." I nodded, forcing a shaky breath, but fear and exhilaration collided in a chaotic storm inside me. My heels clicked nervously against the stones as I tried to adjust my wig and straighten my dress, aware that even the smallest imperfection could give away the carefully crafted image I had risked everything to create tonight. The figure stopped a few feet away. I squinted, hard in my throat, and realized it was my older brother, Arav. His eyes widened as he took in the sight of me, dress, makeup, heels, and all. "Samir, is that really you?" His voice was a mixture of disbelief, amusement, and confusion. I froze, my legs suddenly trembling. Arav had never known about this side of me. He was protective, critical even, but also fiercely loyal. My secret, my hidden world, had been entirely mine until now. "Yes," I whispered finally, my voice barely audible over the soft murmur of the plaza. "It's me. I'm exploring something I've never shared before." Arav took a cautious step closer, his eyes scanning every detail.
Wow.
"I didn't expect this. You look incredible." Relief and terror warred inside me. His words were validating, yet the fact that he had seen me like this, exposed and vulnerable, was overwhelming. Could he keep this secret? Could he even understand? Before I could respond, a sudden commotion erupted nearby. Someone in the plaza had recognized me from a viral post, and whispers turned into pointing fingers. Panic surged through me. The world was watching. My secret wasn't mine anymore. Arav's hand landed on my shoulder, grounding me. "Hey, breathe. I've got your back." I swallowed hard, drawing strength from his presence. The plaza felt like a stage, every passerby a potential judge or ally, and my heart pounded like a drum. I didn't plan for anyone to see me tonight," I admitted, voice shaking. "But I couldn't resist. The thrill, the freedom, it's intoxicating." He nodded slowly, eyes thoughtful. "I get it. I really do. But you have to be careful. People aren't always kind. Some might not understand." Ayan, standing close by, whispered, "Ignore them. Focus on yourself, on the confidence you've earned tonight." I took a shaky breath, letting the words settle. The fear was still there, yes, but so was the exhilaration. I had dared, I had survived, and now I had someone unexpected in my corner. And then Isabella stepped forward, placing a reassuring hand on my arm. "We're proud of you," she said softly. "No matter what happens, you've faced your fear, and that's incredible." Arav smiled faintly, shaking his head. "I never thought I'd see my little brother like this, but I have to admit, you're fearless. And stunning." The plaza around us seemed to blur, the crowd fading into the background. The fear of exposure was still there, but so was a newfound strength. For the first time, I realized that this was more than just a thrill or a secret. It was a part of who I truly was, and if people couldn't accept that, it wasn't my problem. But the night wasn't over. Notifications continued to ping, whispers circled, and my social media presence had already gone viral. Every step, every breath, every movement was a risk. And yet, I felt alive in a way I never had before. Arav leaned closer, voice low but firm. "Tonight, we protect you. But tomorrow, you have to decide how far you're willing to take this." I swallowed, nodding, understanding the weight of his words. This wasn't just a night of exposure. It was the beginning of a journey, a test of courage, identity, and the boundaries of fear. And as the plaza lights flickered against the night sky, I realized something profound. Whatever came next, fame, judgment, ridicule, or acceptance, I was ready to face it. Because this side of me, the bold, fearless, unapologetic me, was not going anywhere. The crowd murmured, whispers spreading faster than I could process. The fear of discovery still lingered, but so did an intoxicating sense of power. I was visible, I was daring, and I was unstoppable. The plaza had quieted slightly, but the tension hung thick in the air. My brother Arav stood beside me, his presence both grounding and nerve-wracking. Isabella held my other hand, her calm composure a stark contrast to my racing heart. Yet, the reality was undeniable. My transformation was no longer a private thrill. It had become public, visible, and viral. I could feel my phone buzzing constantly in my pocket. Each notification was a dagger of anxiety and exhilaration. Someone had shared clips from earlier in the night, and they were already circulating on social media. Thousands of views, comments flooding in, some supportive, some mocking, some outright judgmental. My secret life had exploded into the digital world overnight. Arv studied me carefully. "Samir, this is bigger than we thought," he said, his voice calm but serious. "You're famous now, at least in this corner of the internet. People are going to notice." I nodded, swallowing hard. "I know. I didn't expect it to go this far. But it feels liberating in a way I can't describe." Ayan smirked beside me. "That's the thrill talking. Fear, adrenaline, public attention. It's addictive, right?" I forced a laugh, but the truth was undeniable. Every glance, every whisper, every subtle acknowledgement of my cross-dressing identity in public sent a thrill coursing through me. The fear of exposure was now intertwined with a strange, heady power, the sensation of being seen and daring to stand unashamed in front of the world. Isabella leaned closer, her hand brushing mine. "You're handling this so well," she said softly. "Just remember, confidence is everything. If you act natural, people will accept it, or at least move on." But reality struck again as a familiar voice called out from the crowd. "Hey, that's Samir, right?" I froze. A group of university classmates had spotted me, and their laughter rippled through the plaza. My stomach twisted. Exposure wasn't just a thrill anymore, it was now a high-stakes gamble. Arv's hand on my shoulder steadied me. "Don't panic. Walk with me. Own it." I took a shaky breath, adjusting my wig and the flow of my dress. Each step forward was deliberate, a balance of grace and caution. The heels, though unfamiliar in such a long, crowded space, felt like extensions of my newfound confidence. Each click against the cobblestones was a declaration. I was not hiding. I was daring to be seen. One of my classmates approached cautiously. "Samir, wow. I didn't expect this," he said, eyes wide, a mixture of disbelief and admiration in his tone. I forced a small smile, voice trembling but steady. "Yeah, it's me. Something I've wanted to explore for a long time." The crowd around us began murmuring. Some were supportive, a few skeptical, and others simply curious. The plaza, once a chaotic blur, now felt like a stage. And I was the center of it. Arav leaned closer, whispering, "The next move is crucial. Keep your composure, or things could spiral." I nodded, feeling the tension tighten in my chest. But a strange exhilaration accompanied it. Every step, every glance, every whisper reminded me that I had dared. I had risked exposure and survived. Then came the unexpected twist. A news van had pulled up nearby, lights flashing, cameras pointing toward the plaza. The anchor's voice boomed. "Breaking news. A viral sensation has taken the city by storm tonight. A mysterious transformation has captured the attention of thousands online." Panic and adrenaline surged simultaneously. Exposure was no longer just digital, it was live, immediate, unavoidable. I could feel my knees shaking, but Ayan's grip reminded me to stay grounded. Isabella whispered, "Whatever happens, stay confident. This is your moment." I straightened, raising my chin. The plaza was alive with energy, whispers, and flashing cameras. My transformation, once private and secret, had become a spectacle. And though fear twisted inside me, I felt an undeniable surge of empowerment. I was visible. I was daring. I was unstoppable. But deep down, I knew the night was far from over. The exposure, the attention, the stakes, they were only going to get higher. Every step forward was a risk, every glance a challenge, every notification a test. And somewhere in the crowd, a shadowy figure lingered, observing me, waiting for the perfect moment. The ultimate challenge of courage, identity, and secrecy was approaching, and there was no turning back. The plaza was now a blur of motion, lights, and murmurs. My heels clicked loudly against the stone, every step echoing like a heartbeat, reminding me how exposed I truly was. Cameras from the news van, phones from curious strangers, and the lingering stares of classmates made the world feel impossibly large, and all eyes were on me. Arif stayed close, his presence both reassuring and grounding. He whispered, "Remember, confidence is key. You've already handled more than anyone could imagine. Keep moving." I nodded, trying to steady the racing in my chest. Each step in these heels was a calculated risk. My dress swayed with my movements, a visible statement of defiance and daring. I could feel the energy of the crowd pressing in, a mix of curiosity, judgment, and fascination that made my adrenaline surge. "Samir, this is incredible," Isabella murmured beside me. "I didn't know you could own it like this." I forced a smile, though my hands trembled slightly. The truth was, I had never faced this level of exposure before. Every glance, every whisper, every camera flash made my heart pound, but it also made me feel alive, more myself than I had ever been. A sudden shout broke my concentration. "Hey! Over here! Samir!" "Wait!" I froze. A group of acquaintances from the university had spotted me again, this time closer than before. Panic threatened to overtake me. Exposure, it's real now. They could recognize me everywhere. Arif squeezed my hand. "Breathe. You've handled worse. Focus on your composure." I drew a deep breath, letting the air fill my lungs. My body shook slightly, but I straightened my posture, lifted my chin, and took deliberate steps forward. Each click of the heels felt like a declaration. I would not hide. I would not run. I would face this fear head-on. The crowd's whispers grew louder, some curious, some mocking. One woman snapped a picture, another pointed toward her friends, and suddenly, the plaza felt like it was shrinking around me. Yet, even in that chaos, I felt a strange thrill, the raw, unfiltered excitement of daring to be fully visible. Then came an unexpected obstacle. From the corner of my eye, I saw a young journalist pushing through the crowd, microphone in hand, clearly trying to get a statement. My heart raced. Exposure wasn't just digital anymore. It was live, immediate, unavoidable. Isabella leaned close. "Stay calm. You've got this," she said softly, her hand brushing mine. Arif's voice was firm. "Answer carefully. One wrong word, one hesitation, it could spiral." The journalist reached us, microphone extended. "Excuse me, sir, ma'am? Can we get a comment on this viral phenomenon tonight?" I froze, panic and exhilaration twisting inside me. My secret, my identity, my daring transformation, all on display for the world. And yet, something deep inside told me to stand tall, to embrace this, not hide. I inhaled slowly, then smiled, voice steady but confident. This is a side of me I've never shared publicly before. But tonight I chose to embrace it. It's who I am, and I'm not ashamed. The journalist blinked, momentarily stunned, then smiled. "Incredible. Truly inspiring. Thank you for sharing." As they walked away, a wave of relief washed over me, but it was brief. Across the plaza, whispers were already spreading, phones were recording, and strangers' eyes followed my every move. The thrill and fear intertwined, creating a tension I had never felt before. Arif leaned closer. "You're handling this well, but we're not done yet. The exposure, it's only going to escalate." I nodded, my stomach tightening. Every notification, every glance, every step in these heels was a calculated risk. But I couldn't deny the thrill, the intoxicating mixture of fear, excitement, and liberation that surged through me. Then, from the far edge of the plaza, I saw a familiar figure moving closer. Someone whose presence could unravel everything, the final obstacle I hadn't anticipated. My pulse spiked. Arav whispered, voice low but urgent. Brace yourself. The next challenge is about to hit. I swallowed hard, adjusting my wig and dress, gripping Isabella's hand tightly. My heels clicked with deliberate rhythm, each step both a defiance and a dare. The plaza was alive with energy, whispers, and anticipation, and I was at the center of it, exposed, visible, and fully myself. And then, the figure emerged from the shadows, eyes locking onto mine. The ultimate test of courage, identity, and secrecy had arrived. The plaza had become a chaotic mix of whispers, flashing cameras, and curious onlookers. Each step I took in my heels felt heavier than the last, every swish of my dress drawing eyes like magnets. The thrill and fear collided in my chest, leaving my heart pounding uncontrollably. Arav stayed right beside me, a quiet anchor in the storm. Keep your head high, he murmured. Confidence is everything. Isabella squeezed my hand. You've got this. Just one step at a time. I nodded, but my mind was spinning. Every phone camera, every gaze, every muttered comment made my pulse race. This was no longer a private thrill. My crossdressing had gone fully public, and with that came a raw, intense vulnerability I had never experienced before. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw it. Someone moving through the crowd with purpose. My stomach tightened. It was Raj, a former classmate who had always teased me mercilessly. The moment he laid eyes on me, I could sense the recognition and the danger. Arav noticed my tension. Stay calm. Don't give him the satisfaction of seeing you falter. I tried to steady my breathing. Every muscle in my body screamed to flee, to hide, but I couldn't. I was already exposed, and running now would only make me appear weak. I had to face this head-on. Raj approached, smirking. Well, Samir. Didn't expect to see you like this, he said loudly, making sure a few onlookers heard. What's the deal here? Some kind of costume party. Heat rose to my cheeks, but I straightened my posture, clutching Isabella's hand. This is who I am, I said firmly. And I'm not ashamed. The crowd murmured in surprise, some supportive, some skeptical. Raj's smirk faltered slightly. I could see that my confidence had shifted the power dynamic. I was no longer hiding, and he could no longer mock me easily. Arav stepped forward. You can make your comments if you want, but don't forget, you're standing in front of someone who isn't afraid. Raj blinked, clearly taken aback. The attention of the crowd was shifting, and for the first time, I realized the sheer power of presence. Every step, every confident gesture, every poised smile amplified my transformation, not just physically, but emotionally. Then, the unthinkable happened. A gust of wind caught the hem of my dress, lifting it slightly and threatening to expose more than I intended. My heart lurched. For a split second, I panicked, but then I remembered something Arav had told me earlier. Confidence is key. Own every moment. I smoothed the dress, lifted my chin, and let a small, controlled laugh escape my lips. The crowd noticed. The tension eased slightly. Even Raj looked momentarily thrown off. But the night wasn't done testing me. From behind, the buzz of a notification drew my attention. My livestream viewer count had exploded further. Now tens of thousands were watching, commenting, and sharing. My private secret was now a public spectacle. Arav's voice was calm but firm. Samir, whatever happens next, remember, this is your moment. Don't let fear control you. I nodded, feeling a strange rush of exhilaration. Each step forward, every movement in these heels, every tilt of my head, every flutter of my lashes, it all felt like defiance. I was claiming my identity in front of the world. Isabella leaned close. You're amazing. Just stay true to yourself. And then, from the far edge of the plaza, a familiar figure emerged, tall, imposing, and unmistakably aware of every detail. My chest tightened. The ultimate test of courage, identity, and secrecy had returned. Arav whispered urgently, "Brace yourself. This is it, the final challenge of the night." I inhaled deeply, gripping Isabella's hand tightly, heels clicking firmly against the stone. The plaza was alive with whispers, flashing cameras, and hundreds of eyes locked onto me. I felt exposed, vulnerable, and terrified, but also exhilarated. This was the moment that would define everything. The plaza had transformed into a whirlwind of noise, lights, and tension. Every step I took in my heels echoed like a heartbeat, each sway of my dress drawing eyes and whispers. The air was thick with anticipation, and my heart pounded as if it were trying to escape my chest. Arav stayed close, his presence steadying me like an anchor. "Keep calm. Own this," he whispered. Isabella squeezed my hand, her voice soft but firm. "You're stronger than you realize. You've come this far, don't let fear take it away." I drew in a shaky breath. My phone buzzed endlessly with notifications. The live stream had gone viral, thousands of viewers now witnessing every move. Comments scrolled in real time, some cheering me on, some mocking, others incredulous. I had never felt this exposed, this seen. And yet, there was a strange exhilaration that surged through me, the thrill of visibility, the intoxicating rush of daring to be fully myself in public. Then, from the far end of the plaza, I saw him, Raj, standing tall, a mocking smirk on his face. He had been waiting, watching, and now he stepped forward, eyes locked onto mine. "You think this is bravery?" he called out, voice cutting through the murmurs. "You're just making a fool of yourself." My stomach twisted, but I straightened, adjusting my wig and smoothing my dress. The crowd was watching, hundreds of eyes burning into me, waiting for my reaction. Every instinct screamed to run, to hide, but I couldn't. I had come too far. "This isn't a joke," I said, voice trembling slightly but firm. "This is who I am, and I won't apologize for it." The crowd's whispers shifted, some impressed, others surprised. Raj's smirk faltered, and for the first time, I saw uncertainty in his eyes. A gust of wind swept through the plaza, catching the hem of my dress and threatening to betray me. My heart lurched, panic surged, but then I remembered every moment that had brought me here. The secret practices, the adrenaline of private transformations, the quiet triumphs, the encouragement of Isabella, and the unwavering support of Arav. I smoothed the dress, lifted my chin, and let a small, controlled laugh escape me. The crowd responded, some clapped, some cheered. The tension shifted. But just as I felt a glimmer of control, my phone buzzed again. Louder, insistent. I glanced down. A notification flashed. Live viewer count. 50,000 and rising. The realization hit me like a punch. My private experiment, my daring adventure, my secret transformation, it was now a public spectacle. Hundreds, maybe thousands, were watching, commenting, judging. My world had irrevocably changed. Arav's hand landed on my shoulder, grounding me. "No matter what happens, remember, you faced your fear. You dared. You survived. That's what counts." Isabella's eyes softened, filled with admiration and love. "I've never been more proud of you," she whispered. Then, from the edge of the crowd, a new figure appeared, tall, imposing, someone I hadn't expected. Their gaze locked onto me, and the air seemed to tighten around my chest. My pulse spiked. The ultimate test was coming. I took a deep breath, heels clicking with deliberate rhythm, every motion a declaration of who I was. The crowd's murmurs rose, flashing lights intensified, and my secret was no longer mine. It was a spectacle, a challenge, a revelation. And just as the figure stepped closer, my phone buzzed violently again. A warning notification flashed. "Someone is sharing your location live. Immediate action required." My stomach lurched. Exposure, fear, exhilaration, they collided in a chaotic storm. Everything I had risked, every step I had taken in defiance, hung in the balance. Arav's grip tightened. Isabella leaned closer. The crowd's energy swirled around me. And I realized, with a mixture of terror and exhilaration, that this moment would define everything: my identity, my courage, and the limits of what I was willing to risk. I lifted my chin, feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders, but also a fierce, unstoppable strength coursing through me. The figure drew closer. The crowd held its breath. My pulse pounded in my ears. And then the screen went black.